Hey guys, Lee Cole here, and thank you so much for checking out this video. I got some things on my mind, and I'm also drinking coffee. So yeah, I got some things on my mind because I love YouTube. I've been looking at some YouTube videos, and I keep seeing this recurring pattern. I keep seeing videos by people, mainly women. I think it's they're the only ones voicing it. I think the men feel the same thing. They just don't go out and make a video about it. But anyway, and the whole gist is something like this. I'm burned out. Oh, I saw one the other day that was about being burned out by corporate America. Go figure, right? I'm burned out. My job's killing me. We can't have children because it's too expensive, or we do have children, and I feel like I'm a bad mother because I'm working all the time. I'm exhausted all the time. I can't really give them the lives that I want to give them. Sometimes that's said in terms of material stuff, but usually that's said in terms of I can't give them the quantity of my time and the quality of my time that I want to give them because by the time I get home from work, I'm toast. Husband's toast too. I mean, that's usually the way those videos go. And I see more and more and more of this, and it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. Having to work all the time because of the economy, blah, blah, blah. And believe me, if anybody understands money, it's me. I get it. So there's a way of dealing with this. It may not be what you think, or maybe it is what you think. Maybe that's why you're here, but there's a way of dealing with this. I had my version of the same thing 20 years ago, and I want to tell you about that. So 20 years ago, I had a job that I really liked. The commute, I live in a very large city. The commute was really long. The job was very stressful. I loved the job, but by the time I got home, I was fried. And my wife worked part-time, so we had that thing going on for us. But you know, the job, as much as I loved the job, it wasn't really that fulfilling. And so one day, and I was trying to figure out really when this was, it's going to be like 206, '07, something around there. I'm thinking maybe '06 or so. My wife and I were picking up my kids at the elementary school. I guess I just happened to have that day off or something. And, you know, just chit chatting with different parents and chit chatting with each other and all that stuff. And she looks at me and she says, "Did you know that people make money off the internet?" I said, "Okay, that's interesting. How does that happen?" She said they build websites and put ads on websites. And that was like the mustard seed that grew and grew and grew and grew over time into what I've done for close to the past 20 years of my life. Um, you know, I remember thinking, just kind of like thinking, seriously? You know, and I just couldn't get that thought out of my head. And I started looking into it. I started educating myself about what was then and is now called internet marketing. And, you know, I bought some books. Later on, I bought a little training. There was not much training back then to buy, by the way. And I started. As I personally tend to do, I'm not suggesting you do this, but for a year I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and did all that stuff. Did all my learning how to make, you know, the online stuff. At which point, around 6:30 or so, I'd get in the car and go to work. So you can imagine how exhausted I was. But I had a goal and a direction, and I didn't articulate it back then the way I started to articulate it later on. I knew in my heart that there was a way for me to change my relationship between my life, my time, and my money. I knew that. Just didn't know how to do it, but I knew that. So I jumped in. Nothing magic happened, but I worked consistently all my vacation time, all my weekends. I was working, teaching myself. And yeah, so what are the results of this? I hadn't had a quote unquote real job since 2010. So right now that'd be 16 years ago. And am I rich? Do I have a bunch of Lamborghinis in the driveway? No, if I did, my house would look stupid. But I pay the bills, right? It's very similar to the whole Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week thing, although generally I've worked more than 4 hours per week. But I've had a lot of flexibility. I've made enough money, for us as a family to put the roof over our heads, cars in the driveway, food on the table, kids through college, or at least one kid through college. The other kid's going through college as we speak. But I did that. I did that through learning alternative ways of making money through the internet. Now, I know because I think I know where your head and your heart is if you're still looking at this. And if you hadn't tuned out and say, that's not for me, totally cool, God love you and all that stuff. But if you are still looking at this and you're thinking, okay, I want to know more, then you might be thinking, well, I want to know the details. How did you do that? Exactly what you do. That you will not find in this video. You might find it somewhere on my channel. Okay, so while we're talking about it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon and all that stuff, and then go look through the videos. You might find it there because I do give a lot of very, very specific stuff. But that's not really where I'm going with this video. With this video, I'm trying to both open your mind to the possibility, but also let you know what you're feeling, what you're sensing, what you're wanting is absolutely hand on a stack of Bibles real. It is completely real, and it is doable. And it is doable, especially nowadays with AI, in so many different ways. You're just going to have to learn what works for you. You're going to have to dive in. You're going to have to start doing stuff. So, there literally is nothing special about me. Well, there may be. I was telling my wife the other day, I may have a superpower. You know how people say, what's your superpower? I may have a superpower, and that is I don't know when to quit. I really don't. I just don't quit. I'm pretty sure there have been things in my life that I should have quit. This ain't one of them. But I don't quit. I am capable of just waking up in the morning and getting it going again and again and again. I think it probably takes that. I think your chances of lucking out from the get-go and everything falling into place, I mean, it does happen. But I think that's pretty slim. But like I said in this video, I want to kind of address the underlying stuff, right? Oh, by the way, another public service announcement. I got a great course that might help you. You don't have to buy it. I didn't create the video to pitch the course, but now that I'm thinking about it, I really should put the link to the course there. It's called Microservice Millions, and it's a whole bunch of ways that you can use AI to actually make money online. They all work. I've done them for years. Not all of them simultaneously, but at various times. And I've also done all this stuff with AI. So, public service announcement, almost over with. Scroll down, click that link, and it'll take you to the sales letter. Right now, the link that I'll have on the sales letter is going to be to it's the complete thing, but I'll have a lower price on it for you. So check that out. But anyway, back to the ranch. There's some things that I've learned through this really non-standard way of making money. I've been trying to do this stuff ever since the early 90s, actually. Well, actually, maybe a little before then. But there's some things that I've learned that are really, really important, really helpful. Number one is the concept of trading time for money. Now, you may think, I'm not an hourly worker. I get paid a salary. Yeah, and you have a certain amount of work to do, and your boss better see your butt in the office at a certain time. and your boss better see your butt leave the office at a certain time, or else you're going to be history. So yeah, you're still trading time for money, and you're not building an asset. All right. Now we all know what assets are. Your 401k is an asset. Your stock's an asset. Your house, if you got one nowadays, especially, is an asset, and all that stuff. But through creating a business, we can create assets, and so that's part of your problem is so the mother that's just killing herself working so hard to help the family really should have this name came about like 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years, something like that was the first time I heard a side hustle. Pretty easy to do online nowadays. You got a side hustle going and you got your job, then you don't worry so much. Like, the boss is a little bit out of shape at something, probably because his boss or her boss has been out of shape about something. And you thinking to yourself, okay, if it doesn't work out here, it's okay because I got $1,000, $2,000 a month coming in, whatever it is, 3 grand, whatever. On my side hustle, that'll tide us over. It's all going to be fine. I get another job. It relieves a lot of pressure. Plus, if you don't piss it away, in other words, if as your income grows, if you don't let your spending grow, which takes some maturity. I got it. I understand. But if you don't piss it away, then you'll end up with money in the bank. That leads to other things like leverage. All right. And so, really, when I started, when my wife first told me that, and I started thinking, unlike, before then, if you wanted to get into business for yourself, you had to buy a franchise and probably finance that unless you had $200,000 or $300,000 for a franchise or whatever, and it may work or it may not work and all that stuff. That was how people got into business. So you might have just some genius idea like FedEx. And that happens once in a blue moon. That's not really. That's great for those people. What was his name? Fred Smith or something like that? I've forgotten. But becoming a business genius, a Bezos, a Musk, or whatever, excuse me, that's not really something you can count on. And you may be that person. If you are that person, I guarantee you're probably not looking at this video right now. But if you're just a normal everyday schlub like me, then you have options. And it's not just working for the man. Okay? But you're going to have to change some things about the way you think. You're going to have to become an entrepreneur in the way you think. And you're going to have to become like an investor in the way you think. And that all happened to me over time. I did it through reading. I did it through working, trying, it took a while, but I did it. And my life is much better for it. So, I'm thinking, if that's you, if you're like, here, I got a cheat sheet right here. Because it's late at night and I'm old and I can't remember stuff. Actually, I have a phenomenal memory. I just have a lot to remember. Thank the Lord I have a good memory. But if you're like me and you're like, there's something out there, there's something new for me. I want to stretch my wings. I want to see if I can do it. I got a good friend. Good friend. I think of him as a good friend. He's a really good guy. Lives out west and was a teacher, and then he got into online entrepreneurship years and years ago. And I asked him one time, I said, "Why did you do that?" And he said, "I got tired of telling students to go out and grab the bull by the horns when I was playing it safe." Bing. Does that ring a bell? Is there some inner yearning there? Like, yeah, baby. Now you're talking. Yeah, I got you. That hurt, right? Yeah, well, see, I got tired of that too. I didn't want the big business. I didn't want the, headache. I didn't want to create another job for myself. I didn't have time because I came to all this conclusions about this stuff when I was in my 50s. Now you know how old I am. I'm a lot older than that, hence all the gray hairs. But, my point is, thinking has to shift, and you got to shift from being a wage slave, whether you're a well-paid wage slave or you're a poorly paid wage slave. You got to go from being owned by the man to you building your thing, right? You got to go from being owned to building. And I don't think like an employee anymore. I used to. I used to be an employee, but I don't think like an employee anymore. I don't think like I have to please my boss or. Hang on, this thing's about to fall off. I apologize. I may edit that out. I might not. But anyway, I don't have to go like I got to please my boss. I got to see what my boss's boss thinks. You know, I got to toe the line. I can't try this. Well, you know, what if they see me like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I got it. I understand. That's just part of working in a group of people. You know, you got to conform. Yeah, I'm not good at conforming in case you figured that out. Hadn't figured that out yet. But you got to go from thinking like that to, what can I build? Okay. Some people build skyscrapers. I'm not one of them. I'm not that smart. And I didn't get into this that young. I build email lists. All right. I build email lists of people who buy certain stuff. And I research stuff and I send them emails about stuff and they buy stuff and I get paid as an affiliate. That's fundamentally what I do, is I build email lists. Those are assets. All right. Digital assets. That's not the only way to cut this up, but that's just an example. See, I go from I got to get to work early so the boss sees me, you know, hustling so that he or she likes me and they promote me and all that crap, you know, sucking, you know what. Just fill in whatever you think to, I got a great idea. You know, it's going to take me 2 or 3 days to kind of flesh that out and see if it's got legs, run some traffic to it. Yeah, I got that time. Let me look at my calendar. Yeah, so I'm going to write a sales letter today. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see if we got something. You know, most ideas don't pan out, but every now and then one does, and you think, yeah, baby, this one can grow. And what you're doing is you're growing an asset. So it's a mind shift for most people. Most people are not born in an entrepreneurial family. Most people don't think entrepreneurially. Most people don't think in terms of owning their own business. Hardly anyone does, especially nowadays. I mean, you're all just sitting there just sucking, you know what, for the man or the woman or whatever the hell, you know. But that's a little crass. Maybe I ought to edit that out. I'm probably not going to. But anyway, so that's like theory. Okay, so what to greatly, you got me. I'm sitting here focused, paying attention. What next? Well, you need to start a business. It needs to be an online business, and it needs, in other words, internet-based business. Fairly easy to start. Fairly a lot less expensive to start now than it used to be. I mean, I'm looking at this new platform called, and this is not a pitch for this. I'm not an affiliate. I am a free member because I'm checking out the platform to see if it'll work for me, but this is not a pitch for this. But anyway, I'm looking at this new platform called System.io, Systeme.io. System.io, except it's spelled System because it's French and they spell stuff weird because they speak French and not English, in case nobody told you. And I'm thinking, you know, God, wow, I wish this had been around when I was a kid. I literally just like 3 or 4 months ago dumped one account from one of my email businesses because the email portion of that account was costing me $300 a month for and I'm not dissing on that company, it's a great company, so I'm not going to mention their names, but I will mention the name of the company I went to. This before I found out about System. MailerLite. And I'm like, I get the same thing, MailerLite, for $50 a month, plus it's easier to use. You know, so that saves me $250 a month, $3,000 a year. You could get a free MailerLite account for free. That's why it's called free. But anyway, you can get a free MailerLite account that'll, I think it's got all the bells and whistles with it. You can get up to 1,000 subscribers on it. In other words, you can get going right now very cheaply. I think MailerLite. Now, don't quote me on this because I haven't done it like this, but I'm pretty sure you could build a landing page, i.e., a page to sell stuff or collect email addresses. You can do all that stuff. You can do all that on your free MailerLite or on the cheap MailerLite. I've forgotten which one. Either way, it's really cheap. It's either free or really cheap. And I'm not a MailerLite affiliate either. I'm missing out here. Maybe I need to become an affiliate for both of those because I think I'm going to really like the system. I think that's going to save me a massive ton of money. And I already like MailerLite a lot. I have 2 MailerLite accounts because I fundamentally run 2 different businesses. But anyway, so the infrastructure for getting going is actually, it's everywhere. It's easy to use. I mean, you literally could get going with internet marketing with one free MailerLite account. Don't even need web hosting. One free MailerLite account. That'll do it. You could get going like that. You can start testing stuff, learning like I did back in the day. You know, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning before you go to work. Those SOBs. My language is really foul tonight. I think I'm tired. I apologize. I try not to do stuff like that. But anyway. It sounds cool. But anyway, those people aren't married to you. You know, the people you work for, they don't give a rat's rear end about you. I'm so sorry to tell you. They smile and they like you and all that crap. But at the end of the day, you know, you are a butt and a seat. That's all you are. Okay, and they're, you know, we live on a planet of 8 billion plus butts. So, you know, they can get somebody else to fill that seat pretty easily. But my point is, it is so cheap to get started. Build something to sell it, build an email list, become an affiliate, start learning about this world. That one thing, now this isn't even on my freaking cheat sheet. This is just me riffing. But I do great when I'm riffing. That one thing, okay, affiliate marketing, it covers so much. But that one thing, email list, market to the email list. Build the email list, market to the email list. Build the email list, market to the email list. That world's simplest business model. I have made my living with that world's simplest business model for, well, full-time living for 16 years, part-time living for, I don't remember when I actually first started getting going with this. It's either going to be 18 or 19 years. Damn near 20 years. Simple business model. Build the mailing list, market to the mailing list. Build the mailing list, market to the mailing list. There's a lot to know about that. But, you know, it's got to be simpler than, you know, Roy Kroc coming up with the McDonald's franchise. And, you know, like I said, if you're a Roy Kroc, if you're a Elon Musk, if you are a Jeff Bezos, you're not looking at this video. This is not in your wheelhouse, okay? You're out there doing something amazing that the rest of us can't do. I'm just talking to me out there, you, me and you. Same kind of people. But anyway, so there we have it. That's what needs to happen. You need to learn how to do this stuff. I've got a ton of ideas, all of which work because they're based on reality. Below, click the link, microservice millions. These are side hustle type things, all AI based, but it's easy AI. Okay, I don't do anything that's hard. Not that I'm an idiot, it's just that I don't want to spend all day figuring out crap. The whole thing about AI is you want it to figure it out for you. But anyway, you know, I know a lot of people listen to this video and won't do it, but, or maybe just won't do it right now. That's what I'd rather think. Because I hope I planted a seed. Okay? I hope I've like nudged you toward the goalpost a little bit. I hope I've at least opened your mind. And you say, Wait a freaking minute, Lee. Are you telling me I don't have to be this effing miserable in my life? Yes, I am telling you, you don't have to be this effing miserable in your life. Henry David Thoreau, Walden, you know that guy. Uh, it was before the Civil War, so this would be 1840s or so. So we're looking at a whopping nearly 200 years ago now. Who knew? Henry David Thoreau and Walden, one of my favorite authors. I've read that book many, many times, and before I die, I'll read it many, many more times. He said, most men, now this was back in the early 1800s, so ladies, don't get bent out of shape about the word men. It's what they meant by the totality of humanity. So really it's the word people. Okay, so let's use people, just so we can get the message without getting hung up on how the message is created. Most people lead lives of quiet desperation. Yeah. I don't care how many freaking cars you got in the driveway. I don't care if your kids go. Hey, I got friends who make a lot more money than I do and always have, and their kids go to, you know, public, private schools, what we call private schools in the United States, which is what y'all call public schools in the UK for some insane reason because you're backwards and you're driving on the wrong side of the road. But anyway, uh, they pan out the nose for the school. They got all this. They got, they just miserable, 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 miserable. And you can be miserable and broke. You can be miserable and not broke. And it doesn't have to be like that. It's going to be a different way of thinking, and it's going to be. But also, when you start to break your thinking free, when you start to say, well, wait a minute, that guy Lee, he told me it doesn't have to be like this. For real. Real guy. I mean, look at me. Jeez, I'm sitting here in an old t-shirt. Real guy. Doesn't have to be like that. And then when you start building on that and thinking, okay, well, what could it be like? What are the skills I need? Let me try this. Whoops, that didn't work. Okay, fine, fine. Let me try this next thing. Whoops, that didn't work. Fine, that's cool, totally cool. A few more things. Let me go. Oh, holy God, that is working. This is working. Oh, I remember like it was like 2 minutes ago, the first time I made money online. Uh, it was as if doing affiliate marketing for Amazon. $3.60 some odd cents was my commission on a really expensive piece of electronics. This was way, way back. So this would be like 2008, 2007, something around there. You have a future. Open up your head, stop, breathe, and understand that you can reclaim your life, your money, your time, and your life. You can reclaim that relationship and make it yours. And you can do that through internet marketing. So, went long on this. I started riffing. I just took this thing and just blew it away. just like, I just like, yeah, I'm following what I was going to talk about. Start riffing, and I hope this helps you. I hope it helps you. I hope you look at this video and you sit down and think, holy cow, this is real. Holy cow, this is real. So, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. I got videos coming out about every week or so when I have a genius idea, or that was a joke, but about every week or so to help you out. I really, really want you to. I really, really want you to start to figure this stuff out because it changed my life, and I would love to be a small part of changing yours. Thank you so much. My name's Lee Cole, and I will talk to you very, very soon.